I wanted to go over something that is really serious and something that I don't think our society puts as much emphasis on as it should. Something that we don't really all talk about, something that we were never really educated on when we were growing up, and that's emotional abuse. Physical abuse, that is black and white, but emotional abuse is so much more gray and trickier to spot, especially if you were never taught what emotional abuse is. So, in this video, I want to go over what emotional abuse is and how you can know if someone is emotionally abusing you. And that's in any relationship, friendship, family member, romantic relationship. So, most of the time when we hear about abuse, we usually hear about physical abuse. And physical abuse is black and white. It's someone that is physically abusing you. Now, emotional abuse and physical abuse, they basically are under the same umbrella. And that is the person's trying to gain control over another person. And that's why they're doing these things. So while someone that is physically abusing a person is controlling them by physical force, someone that's emotionally abusive is controlling the person with brainwashing, diminishing of someone's self-esteem and self-confidence, really getting into the mind of a person in order to really have control over that person. So it's understandable why emotional abuse is not protected in a court of law and why it's difficult to spot sometimes because there's no physical scar on us, right? All the scars are mental. All the scars are in our minds from what someone has done to us. And this is why this topic is so important because yeah, what someone does to emotionally abuse you creates so many other issues in your life. And I am not downplaying physical abuse whatsoever. They are both horrific things to have to go through. Emotional abuse is just something that I hope our society continues to talk about to educate each other on so we can protect ourselves from these types of people. So, the first thing is someone that's an emotional abuser is someone that is constantly testing your boundaries. They do not like the word no. They don't accept no for an answer. They're constantly pushing and pushing on you to get what they want out of you. They're using manipulation on you in the midst of, testing your boundaries. So, definitely someone that is constantly testing boundaries is someone that's emotionally abusive. The next thing is the silent treatment. People that are emotional abusers love the silent treatment because, again, if they know you're a codependent person, if you're a weak person, if you have low self esteem, by giving you the silent treatment, that worries you. You don't like that feeling, right? Like, you don't like the feeling of someone not being okay with you, especially if you're codependent. So they love giving the silent treatment to people because it's their way of almost punishing you in a sense. Whereas someone that is healthy and has a good sense of self, self-confidence, loves themselves, if they get the silent treatment from someone else, okay, you can give me a silent treatment. That's completely unhealthy. And when you're ready to talk, we'll talk about that. But it won't bug the person. Whereas someone that is maybe a little codependent, it will really eat them up inside, not having this person speak to them. So that's just another form of punishment is the silent treatment. The next thing is someone who is passive aggressive, who is constantly saying these things that are not full blown insults, but they're just those little tiny digs and just saying things that are just a little hurtful and then kind of walking away from it, those types of people, that's emotional abuse right there. So but you have to be able to spot these things. You have to be able to recognize these things. So when you start learning what each of these things are, you will start to spot it when you come across people in your life, whether it's a parent or cousin or sister or partner or friend, whatever, boss, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to spot this stuff right away. So someone that is always passive aggressive is someone that is definitely emotional abusive. The next sign that you're dealing with someone who's emotionally abusive is they always disregard your feelings, your needs, your opinions. They just don't matter to them. So they're just so self-absorbed and just wanting control over every situation that they can't hear your feelings or your opinions. They might actually listen to them, but they can't hear them. They can't sit in space for you and really go back and forth and go toe to toe with you regarding what you think and how you feel. So it's always about them. So they just kind of either completely ignore what you're saying or they just disregard it and bring it back to their needs, their wants, their opinion. Validating someone's feelings is so important. And this helps even in relationships, any relationship whatsoever. A lot of the times, a lot of conflict starts between partners or friendships or whatever is when the person doesn't feel validated. They don't feel like they're being heard. They don't feel like their partner is understanding them. So by validating someone's feelings, even if it's bruising your ego, even if you didn't mean to say what you said or you didn't mean for it to come off that way, still validating what your partner is saying is absolutely huge to number one, deflect any arguments and glow ups or fights, but also it really, you're holding the space for that other person. And if you can do it for that person, then that person's going to be able to do it for you. And that's when true communication actually starts, healthy communication starts. So, validating someone's feelings, whether or not you agree with them, is really, really important towards healthy relationships. And when you become healthy and full by yourself, when you have healed from codependency, you will be able to hold a space for someone else and validate their feelings. Even if it's something that's bruising your ego, or even if it's something that, you didn't mean to do, but they took it that way, you won't get so offended by what they're saying. You'll validate how they feel, and then you go to the next step in the conversation, move forward with whatever it is that you're talking about, but you hold that space for that person. I can't tell you how important that is in any type of relationship. And when you're able to do that, not only are you helping the relationship, you're also, that means that you're at a really great space yourself where you really dropped your ego 100% and you're healthy and you're full and you can really sit there and be there for that person and listen to them and validate how they feel and not take anything that they're saying personal. The next thing is they completely ignore you sometimes when you're speaking. So this is a sign of emotional abuse. I don't always know if it's done on a conscious level. I don't think so because a lot of these abusive tactics that someone will use I don't think are malicious and consciously done. I think it's just the subconscious programming that they learn in their childhood and throughout growing up that they then use on other people to control a situation. So I don't think that it's something that's consciously done. But someone that can completely ignore you when you're speaking, that is a sign of emotional abuse. But of course, there are times when we just don't hear someone or when our mind is going in a different direction and we're not focusing. Well, for the most part, you know when someone's actually speaking near you, you can hear them. And by not acknowledging that they spoke, that is abusive. And again, someone that completely ignores you when you're speaking, that goes toe to toe with someone that gives you the silent treatment, someone that doesn't validate your feelings. So basically, someone that doesn't respect you in any way, shape, or form, doesn't respect what you have to say, doesn't want to listen to what you have to say, doesn't want to validate how you feel, that's not someone that is looking for a mutual relationship. That is a one-way street that that person's on, and they run the show. And again, it's just a person that's trying to control the situation, and they're essentially abusing you. But a lot of people don't even recognize that something like that is even emotional abuse. I once knew someone that every time they did that, they would say, "Well, I'm an idiot." They would say it constantly, and these weren't situations where this person was watching TV or this person was working, and a conversation. I was starting a conversation. This was like clearly we're in the car driving or we're doing something that we're near each other and you can hear that I'm speaking and they wouldn't respond. And it always infuriated me that it was abusive. I felt that it was disrespectful, but again, I didn't always put two and two together. I didn't know a lot about emotional abuse. That the next thing is gaslighting, and this again all ties in manipulation and guilt and shame and all of those types of tactics is gaslighting. So gaslighting is when you feel a certain way or something happened and someone else is making you doubt your reality. And again, when you're not healthy and whole and you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your intuition, you don't really love yourself, you don't honor yourself, you are going to be manipulated. You are going to allow someone to gaslight you and basically make you second guess what you think and how you feel. But when you are really self loving, you stand in how you feel no matter what anyone else says. And it might actually, you might feel crazy. You might be like, okay, am I really thinking this? And that's part of the game that they're playing. They want you to ask yourself these questions, but just know that the minute you ask yourself that question, you are thinking it. You don't ever have to doubt yourself because no one else needs to believe you. It's just a person that's looking to control. They're looking to control you, they're looking to control the situation, they're looking to control the outcome. And in order to have control, they have learned certain tactics in order for them to get what they want and in order for them to control the situation. Along with manipulation, as someone's manipulating you, if they're not getting what they want out of you, they've begun shaming you and making you feel bad for saying no. They use guilt, which is another form of emotional abuse, in order to get what they want. Then they're gonna start getting nasty. And I talked about this in my video regarding manipulation, but now they start getting nasty. So now is when they start threatening you. Now is when they start verbally abusing you. You're too sensitive. And it doesn't have to be these nasty, nasty things that someone says about you. It can be, passive aggressive things, or it can be something that is just a little hurtful, just a but you, really, the overall picture to this video and the reason why I wanted to make it is because if you have been in a relationship that is emotionally abusive, whether you can stand fear and know that you are in one, or whether maybe one of your parents was emotionally abusive, and as a child, now maybe you have anxiety, or you have post-traumatic stress, or you're depressed, or, you don't have any self-confidence, you don't know how to love yourself. And we don't have to be in horrific situations growing up in order to have abuse. A parent that never validates their child and what their child is feeling, that's abuse. And that is going to affect that child growing up later on in life. And that's going to affect the type of partner that they attract. They will attract a partner that does not validate them because that's all they've ever known. So, the reason why I wanted to make this video is really just to start educating everyone out there on these things and what emotional abuse entails. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm definitely going to keep making more videos like this because I think they are extremely important to keep relaying this message, to keep educating yourself as much as you can on these things. You guys leave any comments or questions down below. I love hearing from you guys and getting your feedback. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Please like and share.